All right. Welcome back to the Thin Red Line Radio Show, episode 34. I guess we're going to call this like
Wow.
the catching up show, Sean, right? It's what
Yeah,
are we? The
the
21st?
let's never joke about COVID again
Oh,
show.
dude, this year has been just horrific. Our last show was with Bobby Eckert back in, I think it was
June,
June or
June,
July, 4 months ago.
and it's just and it wasn't even on purpose. I mean, it was just you think with all that was going on, we would have tons of time, but the kids using the offices, the wife using the office, the once things opened up a little bit, like my daughter and son went full on sports, and so for every week since the weekend after, we've been like, oh, it's got to get together, and finally it was just stars aligned this morning. My
We,
wife had to go back to the office today, and my daughter decided to give up using the office for school and go back upstairs to the desk upstairs. So stars aligned, and here we are.
and that's great. Yeah, same thing. Once things opened up a little bit more here in Jersey, my daughter's back in sports. My other daughter's doing gymnastics, and we're all over the place. We don't have time to sit down. But you know what? We were able to make time this weekend. Sean, it was great seeing you
Yes.
out in Pennsylvania. You made the trip down, and I took a little bit of a ride to come out and see you at the Interschutz demo show. I think that was the only thing that Interschutz did.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, Intershoots, I think it's called Intershoots. I don't want to say it
Yeah,
wrong
well,
and lose any future sponsorships, but
sponsorships. What's that?
you know what I mean. The only thing that the conference was supposed to happen in Philly, and once COVID hit, they realized the reality of it is that it wasn't going to happen. And then between Bobby Eckert and Eckert Fire Tactics with National Fire Radio, Jeremy and the boys, excuse me, and Intershoots, they were able to put that Sunday, or what was it called? The virtual live fire event, limited staffing concepts. And I tell you, that was amazing. I was happy to be a part of it. The start, I had planned on attending all along since I started working for Bob. That's the first event that hasn't canceled since I started working for Eckert. That last year I was supposed to do 2 or 3 events that all got canceled due to COVID. Excuse me, sorry. And then he has a lot going on locally, but obviously it's not cost effective to bring me in for the smaller, drill nights and things like that. But it worked out that I had planned on coming in for that, and then of course Grace got softball scheduled, came out, and she has a tournament that weekend. And I'm like, oh great, here we go. So worked out that it was only about an hour. Excuse me, it was only about an hour away, and so I was able to. My wife traveled with us, and we went up Friday and hung out. And Saturday morning, I drove there. And Missy took Grace to softball, and it was great. It was an incredible event. John, you were there. It was good to see you because we haven't seen each other since Vegas, which was in February at Firehouse World.
Yeah, all the way out in Vegas.
Vegas,
A
yeah.
long
I forgot
time.
how short. I forgot how short you were. Oh, I'm just kidding. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. There's a
You gotta
joke.
throw,
There's a
you gotta throw
joke. There's a
daggers
joke.
today.
There's a joke right back at me too, bro. So, but yeah. So just talking about that event was, I don't know if humbled is the word, but so Bob, he set this up, and it was totally like legitimately unscripted. Like he told us what events you're doing and nothing else. So he said to me, he's like, you're going to be the boss of the first engine for the first event, and you're going to be the boss of the hose line for this event. And so you guys, if you did watch it, it's on National Fire Radio YouTube. It's on their Facebook page. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you should. But the full, so for the live feed and the live stream, there's only one camera that was going, but they're already teasing out. They had multiple cameras throughout the building throughout the whole day. So what you'll see is that we were all involved in most of the evolutions. They just only one event. So even when they're doing a VES, we had Tristan Chicario from Baltimore City doing a VES. Sorry, hold on 1 second. I'm getting urgent.
All good, but I'll jump in on that. I actually
Okay,
did some video too. You can watch it on my Facebook page on Beyond the Basics Fire Training. I shot a couple different evolutions that they were doing. It was great seeing them doing the forceful entry stuff. And like you said, everything was unscripted, so there was going to be hiccups there, just like at every incident. You know, you had to assist with the stretch, and again, limited staffing concepts. Sean, what do you normally show? What's the engine company guys showing up with for you guys?
Buffalo, four.
Four.
Chauffeur and 3 guys, officer, 2 firefighters. So, yeah, with that, I said this to Bob, and I pulled him aside, and he didn't care much about what I had to say. But I said, dude, like, I just met Matt Walsh was my nozzleman for that evolution. We literally just met that morning. He works a rescue in, I want to say, New Haven. I work a truck, and I haven't touched a hose line at a fire unless I was getting it out of my way in over close to 3 years. Like, you really think we ought to start this event live with this? And he's like, dude, that's the whole point. He's like, I'm showing that guys with experience, professionals, guys that do this shit a lot, still make mistakes, still struggle. Well, I'll tell you, it started, if you watched it, it started off, the company that did it, obviously they weren't keen on us driving their engine. So they had their own chauffeur. And the kid really wanted to try to make the turn into that little alley. We set up a busy street, cars on both sides, which is real life. At least in my city, it's real life. And
same here.
He wanted to make that turn so bad, and I think they wanted him to do it. But again, it was unscripted, so it was kind of like you as the officer make the call. The kid's like, I can make the turn. I can make the turn. I think he had been practicing it. He'd been really
rehearsing it in his head,
like doing those affirmations or whatever they talk about to like, I can get this turn. I can get this turn. So anyways, long story short, as we start the operation, there's a gentleman walking along the fence that he needed to almost, he needed to almost hug that fence, like hit that fence to be able to make the swing.
Cut him short though, right?
Yeah, well, so he had to cut the turn because that guy's walking, and then he's really trying to get out. And I'm sitting there, and I said, he's like, I really want to make it. Finally I said to him, listen, bro, I don't know what Bob's plans are here, but in real life, I'm stopping you right now. We're stretching from here. I mean, it's a noble thing to get that rig out of the way to keep the other streets free for the other arriving apparatus and all that stuff. We obviously understand that. I said, but one guy's the fireman that was going to act as my pump operator, he was going to be my chauffeur, but they wouldn't, like I said, for insurance reasons, he couldn't drive the rig. He got out and he's like, you're good. I'm like, dude, you're not good on my side. Let's just stop. And as soon as I said stretch here, stretch from here, Bobby
jumped
even
out.
said it.
Yeah, right.
Bobby even said it. Yeah, Bobby even said it over the radio. He said, yeah, just stretch from there. So we got out, and again, new guy, never met him, very good fireman, did a great job. But me, we use a pretty basic flat load here, and all those different hose loads, they're foreign to me. And I tell you, it was freaking humbling. So I get the hose off, and
Sean, I want to stop you for a second, but because you touched on something, and I think you just glanced over it. The communication in the cab is critical.
Oh,
so how many times can you potentially get called up on overtime? And we'll talk about for the career side and be detailed to a different house riding on a different truck or something else. We'll say pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID with vaccines, because some departments are keeping stuff in-house. But not knowing that chauffeur or that crew and having that communication, that trust back and forth with the chauffeur is huge. But on a volunteer side, if you think about it, now the volunteer has no idea who's showing up as the officer or who's showing up as the driver. So that communication is critical inside the cab between the officer and the chauffeur. But going back to your stretch, I don't want to interrupt, but it was just a point.
Yeah, it's a good teachable moment. And so, Matt takes off with the nozzle. I grab the rest of the folds. And again, I'm used to turning them one way so they pay off. Well, the way this hose was laid, that's not the way it worked. So I get the hose on up on my shoulder. I look, I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So I'm starting to walk, and then I kind of just let it go and brought it with me. But so, for a brief 30 seconds there, I look like I never been, I'm going back to channeling my inner Stephen McCaffrey. It looked like you and a hose had never been introduced. So
that's playing in your head.
Oh, totally. So I'm like, geez, Louise. So we finished the stretch, get up to, so what this had to do is we had to take it to simulate a basement fire. We had to go upstairs through the door and then down the stairs actually to the first floor of the burn building was the simulated basement. But when we got up the stairs, Matt and I thought we just knew we had a basement fire, so we thought the bulkhead of the burn room was actually serving as a Bilko door. So we set up our stretch to enter that way. And I hear Bob on the, he was up there with us. So I hear him on the live stream talking about there's the door. They got the door right here. And I'm like, wait, there's a door over there that was blocked by the department's porcelain entry door. So now we have to reposition the whole stretch, which became another nightmare. So now I'm like bent over like, oh my God, because Matt was in a perfect spot to make that push down the Bilko doors. Yeah. Well, now we realize, oh shoot, there's a door over here, which is another lesson, right?
I just wanted to jump in on that. A lot of times in rural companies, and you may show up first due with the engine company, who's your pathfinder? I know in my city, truck company guys are going in and finding the path and radioing back to the engine officer or the chief, like, hey, this is the path to come in. Fire service is great at doing the initial stretch. Our repositioning of a stretch is not our best, but you guys were able to adapt that and overcome it. But again, you may show up first due, obviously with a, if we're talking volunteer aspect, or talking career aspect, truck may be delayed, caught in traffic, whatever the issue is, and you got to find your route.
Yeah, it was a real challenge. So now another, moving on, we get to the door, reposition. Of course I could see, and it wasn't a huge area up on that roof. I don't know if it played out well on the camera, but it wasn't a big area at all. We brought a 200-foot pre-connect, so we probably had 200, maybe we had 100 feet up there and 50 down the stairs, 50 to the truck. We start to reposition. Matt's masking up. I look. I'm just kind of playing out. Again, we don't know about reported victims. We don't know anything about literally nothing except
basement fire.
We had a basement fire. So trying to get it played out. And I'm looking at it on the deck, and all of a sudden, here comes your water. And I'm like, it's going to kink. There's going to be kinks. There's going to be kinks. So I say to Matt, again, foreign to me because we don't do this. I'm like, Matt, start your stretch. Matt was able to, he did what he's supposed to do. He got the line charge. He
bled it, all that good stuff.
Bled the nozzle. Thank you. Bled the nozzle, got all that going. And I could hear, as soon as he bled the nozzle, I could hear that there was a kink somewhere. So now before I make entry with it, I start having him make entry. Before I can make entry with him, I'm looking, where's the kink? Oh, there's a kink. I pull it. Now I start to go. Well, now I got to get off the line, which is, again, in my world, there's 29 guys coming to a fire. If somebody walks by I should never have to do too much running around unless something catches a corner or something. But so now I start to go off the line, do a quick search. Matt gets to the room where the fire is, and truthfully, what they told us for the camera, they told us to slow down a little bit so that because they couldn't bring the camera in with us to the fire, the live stream camera, obviously. So he had to leave once we started in the door. He had to leave to go back around. Well, you'd think that 20 seconds or so was an advantage. Well, truthfully, it was mostly me like, whew, let me catch my breath for a brief second. So we do a quick, I do a quick search. I'm looking for hose. Matt gets to the corner. Now I catch to him. He's at the top of the stairs. He's about to advance. I see him start to go. Bob jumps in front of me because he's doing all the narrating. He's not helping. He's doing all the commentating. He jumps. Bob jumps down the stairs. I go back for more hose because, again, I heard what I thought was a kink. But it was a new hose we never used before. It was really good hose from Snap Tight. But
Sean, you talk about hearing a kink. Some people don't understand that. You've been around long enough, and I've been around to hear what a kink sounds like. Want to explain that real quick?
Yeah. So you have your, and now if you have like a 45-degree kink or 90-degree kink, you may not hear it. But when you're talking these like 120, 180 kinks, you hear that. You can hear the water fighting to get
push through, right?
On my right ear, I hear the flow, right? But my left ear, I'm hearing water, and that's no good. If my, the out is left, and I know it's the only hose line in the building, so I hear water struggling to do something, and that's another key training point that we do it with. You do it with people, engine crews and stuff all the time. Is close your eyes and listen. What do you should be able to tell if you're hitting a wood, concrete, a hole, drywall,
the floor,
whatever, the floor. And you should be able to gauge how close or how far you are from it just from the sound of, that's one of the senses that you will always have inside of burning building. Obviously, we know we lose your sense of vision. All your other senses are a little screwed up. Your ears are going to always work. Now, there's always obviously all the
Background
auxiliary
noise.
noises that you're going to hear. Everybody sounds like Darth Vader breathing. Everybody's the noise. Most of the time, you hear people screaming F-bomb this, F-bomb that. But to know what you're hitting as the nozzle person, that's all you should be paying attention to. I'm hitting a wall, or in more realistically, if I'm in an attic or I'm in a basement, what am I hitting? I'm hitting something 3 feet away from me. Is it a room? Is it a chimney? Is it a
Whatever.
person? Who knows?
Yeah.
You should know what your line's doing. So if I hear it, I could hear that we had a kink just by that loud. I'm not going to do the sound justice, but if you don't know, practice it. Go to the station next time,
Kink it
kink a
up
hose and charge it and
and
listen,
flow. Yep.
because you could hear it. And advantage one to having only 2 people in the building is I could hear it because there was only Matt and I up there. I think a couple of Jeremy's guys came through behind us with GoPros and whatnot, but they weren't working, so they were just breathing normal. They weren't like, they didn't have their adrenaline going or anything like that. So anyways, Matt gets halfway down the stairs and I'm watching him from the top of the stairs doing my job.
Are you using the
And
ticket all? Because I know they gave you
I had
a
the ticket. Yeah, I had the flare
A65,
ticket. It
right?
was sweet.
Flare.
But these boys did such a nice job stoking that fire. I didn't need the tick much. I did use the tick to look for victims. I did use the ticket before we made entry. Now, in that type of burn building, it's tough because it's a metal building and all that. You're not gonna see a whole lot. But as soon as we got to the door, I popped the tick in to see, quick scan, that whole scan. You want to scan the room before you make entry, before you start flowing water. It's your last chance before everything darkens down. I tell you, and I'm not going to do a commercial for Flare, but man, those cameras are amazing. The video overlay, how clear the picture was. I mean, you could recognize faces. It was so clear. Those are amazing cameras. So yeah, I had to tick. Now, as Matt started to go down the stairs, I'm watching for him. The fire's lipping out to the staircase coming up, and I'm like, man, he ain't gonna make it. He don't have enough hose. So now I'm busting my butt trying to feed him hose. No, I don't want too much. I don't want to push him down the stairs, right? Like I don't want to knock him over by jamming hose down his throat. So it's a game, right? I'm trying to feed him,
You got to find that happy medium. Yep.
Yeah. So then he gets to the bottom and he can't make the turn. So I'm like, shit, now I'm out of hose. So I trucked all the way back across the room to see where my pinch point was, what I caught. Now he's at the bottom of the basement stairs and he can't make the turn. So
What's the communication between you two?
Zero, because again, we verbal. I can hear him yelling, "I need more hose! I need more hose!" And he even said, "With him being from another larger department, they don't deal with that as much as I do, or as much as we were simulating doing." And he's like, I didn't know if I was going to have to go back up and get more hose. He said, I didn't know. In real life, we would have been communicating better, I think, but he said, I didn't know if you had a victim, and all of a sudden if they threw a victim into the mix and now you're a victim removal and I'm on my own. He didn't know any of that because we truly didn't know. So I got the hose to him, turns, makes the turn, does a good job. And then they interviewed us in the fire room. Bobby was doing some talking. And of course I still had my pack on, so it's hard to hear. But what I was saying was just what we talked about a few minutes ago, that if you take that extra 10 seconds, 20 seconds to make a good stretch, to do your estimations, estimate your stretch, figure out what you need to do, figure out your best entry point, it saves you from stretching wrong. Now, thankfully, we noticed that other door before we had charged that line. And if we had the line charged ready to go down that Bilco door that we thought was the way we were attacking this fire, and then had to reposition everything on that roof with all the obstacles, we would have been in a world of hurt. So, but man, what a fun event. What a, humbling for sure. We've all made mistakes at fires. I make them at almost everyone I go to, and I'm going to make them again. But to have it live streamed on the internet with the whole world to see was pretty humbling. But man, what an event. It was very, very well put together. And I've been watching a little bit of the finished product, Bobby's got some legit dudes working for him, and
Oh, he's got some big name players, which, you know, everybody there brought something to the table, which is really cool. Might be a little hurt that I didn't get the invite, but that's besides the point. But he's
there's
got,
always
drop a couple of names out there. You got Jason Rivera, you've got Mike Rico, you got Tristan. You know, a lot of really cool
yeah.
guys, and I'm forgetting a lot of names because I just met them for the first time.
Alex Hilliard, Mike Hayes, a couple guys from a big department with initials.
The big four.
Yeah, but I tell you, it was cool. We've had a little text group going for a while since Bob's been starting this thing, and it started when I first got invited to be a member of his cadre. There was, I think, 4 of us, and now we're up to 15, 16 guys, and it's a lot of them, and it's not to sound hokey, but it's all walks of life. I'm a second level leader in my department, 20 some year guy, all the way down to guys with 6, 8, 7, 10 years on in small departments. So we have the best of both worlds. And I told him, I was honest with him. I said, man, I'm going to learn more from you guys than you'll ever learn from me, just because I don't. That was foreign to me to operate like that. It was, I tell you, it was a newfound respect. Honestly, like I always, even on this show, we talk sometimes where I'm like, it's fucking annoying. I got so many damn guys. I'm bumping into people. I can't do my job because it's 26 guys on the stairs because I want to get their helmet cooked. I'll never say that again.
Because, no, and you got a little bit of taste of what limited staffing is about. Definitely, that's what we're running with at work. As a truck company officer, driver officer in one, and a lot of times it's John Wayne time until either my tillerman catches up with me if I'm assigned to the tiller, or when I was on the tower, waiting for my Bravo guy to come around, and just there's a lot of times that we're just doing things on our own. Even for engine company guys, I joke that once an engine company officer gets promoted to the engine company, they become a glorified nozzleman, because with the driver officer in one, because we make a hydrant, we lay in. That's our SOP. So the Bravo guy, the jump seat guy, is making the hydrant. Once we get to the scene, the officer's making the stretch. And that's where the communication between the truck officer and the engine officer is important, because we got to figure out where that first line is. And it's been proven, the studies about the initial stretch, our initial stretch, if it's not dead on, the fire service has a hard time in repositioning it. They say sometimes it's almost better to grab another line and make that stretch, especially with the charge hose line. And you guys saw that up on the roof. And I couldn't see that because I was down below.
Plus, so in my, again, because it was the first evolution of the day. It's the first time I met. The only one of those guys I had met face to face prior was Bobby. So, and here in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I screwed up. Are you kidding me? The first evolution, and I fucked it up, but reality, dude, we got the job done. We made do with me making a goofy stretch. Like I blew it. And I made up for
you
it.
You had tons of obstacles there. You had parked cars, and you had stretching up stairs and stuff like that. And
stairs up, stairs down, and that big door was on the roof that I don't know if you guys were able to see it. It's their forcible entry door, but it's just they stored up on that roof, I guess. And there was a lot, and 200 feet is what we had. I mean, truthfully, if we had 100 foot, 150 foot of hose, we would have probably been better off. But that's not the way it works. And then the second evolution I was on camera for was the big one, the grand finale, if you will. And same thing, I'm behind. So what we did, that one was same thing. We set up the basement fire because it was so cool. Like, wait till the photos start to come out that these guys had. Like, the images of the amount of fire that we were heading into.
Those stokers did a great job.
The heat that we were able to actually generate. Earlier in the day, it was tough because it was cold that night, so it took a while for the building to actually start to produce some heat. But so the second evolution, we laid out that we were doing 2 lines in. We were stretching to the first floor, and then the second line was going to come in, back us up, and start to back us up, and then take the basement. So we purposely did that. So we had 2 good fires going on the first floor. And that was the simulation. There was, I don't know how it works, but in our world, if I commit to the first floor, I'm there. I got to talk to the chief before I can reposition. It's all about accountability. It's all about the chief. So we had the simulation was like we had a good fire on the first floor, and we also, once we knocked the fire on the first floor down, we realized we had a basement fire. So we had the second line come in and attack the basement fire. And it was interesting, and it was cool to see how it worked. And I couldn't hear what Bobby was saying about that one, but there's discipline there. There's a huge discipline there. You got a rager underneath you, and you need to get it taken care of quick, obviously, just because it's weakening the floor you're standing on. But for us to stay up there and we were protecting those stairs so those guys can get up there or get down there and then get back up.
And that's another good teachable point on this. If you're the first due engine company, or if you're the engine company and you're protecting the open interior stairs, especially on our class 3s and our class 5s, that's your job, because you got guys going above you searching rooms. Mm-hmm. So as the truck officer, I was always aware and told the engine guys, hey, we're going up above. And he knew that he wasn't losing those stairs, or he was radioing that things were getting bad and they needed a backup line, or we needed to come out one way or the other. And he wasn't leaving, or she wasn't leaving, until we were down and clear from that the floor above. Right. So there's a communication aspect right there. You need to know, and you need to trust that officer is not going to reposition that line while we got guys above the fire. It may be a floor above, or maybe 2 floors above, but they're protecting the open interior stairs. If you got a basement fire with extension to the first floor, guess what? You're probably got an extension going up the second, and maybe the attic if it's a class 5, like 2.5-story frame that's balloon. You never know where that fire is going to be or pop out. So
for sure.
That's huge for maintaining of trust and line management, and not just sort of, I won't use the word freelancing, and just taking that line from that open stairs and, hey, we want to make the push down the basement. Well, now you just repositioned that line, cut guys off, and hopefully the fire doesn't come out, pop out of a different spot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was, I tell you, I drove back to the hotel afterwards and was really playing through in my brain, like the techniques these guys throwing ladders by themselves. It's just foreign to me. I mean, we done it, we train on it, but real world, unless it's the real world in my world, unless it's an utter emergency, like a dire emergency, I should never have to throw a ladder by myself. I'm talking extension ladders, not obviously roof ladders are different, but unless the shit really hits the fan in my job, I should never have to throw a ladder myself. And to see these guys manhandling it, and again, I know the techniques, I teach the techniques, I can talk about the techniques, but to witness them all in real time. The last evolution, I'm starting my stretch. Tristan's coming through with the ladder. He's got it in the high shoulder carry. And he's like, I'll be out of your way 1 second, Cap. And I'm like, no, like, dude, let me get out of your way. I can move my hose. So he goes to set his thing. He goes to set the ladder. And I was able to stretch through it so that the hose was not in the way, no danger of kicking out. Once the hose charged, I didn't want it to kick out the butt of the ladder and cause him some damage, or have, if they weren't up there yet, but have him have to reposition. And God forbid, we've all seen ladders come down on fire scenes. Somebody gets hurt, do more damage, destroy your ladder, or the ladder hits power lines, whatever. So it was, man, it was fun. It was cool. It was fun. Some really good dudes I got to meet. And I'm coming back this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. And this weekend is going to be Sunday Fun Day. It's not in, it's somewhere. It's in Garden City, I think.
It's not in Abington.
Delco. But different 8 skill stations. The info's on Eckert Fire Tactics Facebook page. I don't know if there's spots available or not, but it's Sunday and it's skill stations. No live fire this time. I think they're going to do like a burn building or a burn barrel for the search just to get some smoke. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really, really cool experience. So
yeah, and I think that's
go ahead.
I think that's that's the first, I think, in the industry to do something like that. And it was great to see the guys from National Fire Radio and Jeremy. Jeremy's obviously been good friends with us, and we've been on his podcast. And we did the show just before I got sick with Jeremy, the three
Yep.
of us. And but it's just amazing how if you get the right people together, almost anything can come together. And I know everybody's worried and nervous prior to an event like that to pull it off, and with very little hiccups. It was cool to watch. It would have been
You're
great to be
basically
part of.
there the whole, yeah, you were
But
basically there the whole day, right? So you saw.
yeah, I was there from when you guys initially stretched in. So when I got there, you were already sitting in the right front seat of the engine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we got to
So you
watch
got to
the
see
see
it
it
play
all.
out. Like we were having those brief, quick, hey, here's what I think situations, like really, because Bobby didn't tell us anything. Those guys that did the forced entry stuff, they had no idea what they were getting into. Uh, they didn't know that there was going to be an SRO inside that building, and that there was going to be victims inside there, and a door, a padlock door inside of an apartment. And but like Bobby made a real good point with Airbnb, they're all over the world. People are living in Airbnbs now, which are basically, depending on which one you get, they're basically a bunch of
SROs.
SROs in
Yep.
and out of. So now that we talked about me for a half hour, some good news and big news in your world, right there, sir.
Yeah. Just
Unless you
got
don't want to
the
talk about it.
yeah, I'll talk about it. I don't want to jinx it, no, but it's getting
No,
more and more. I guess the middle of September, I got transferred. I got moved from my tour to the opposite tour, and I
mhm.
started to at the end of the month, I took over as the tour commander. So the first tour in October, I took over as a tour commander, which is the battalion chief's position. Thank you, Sean.
Congratulations.
We talked about the studying and all that other stuff for the past 3 years.
Supposed to send
It's
me some shit too, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I got to send you some shit. Absolutely, I got stuff for you. But you've been doing the right thing with you've been talking with and working on the online stuff, right? You want me to drop that? We even talk with Chief Turpak, from promotional prep.
Yeah.
He he does his promotional training classes, and he's got stuff online, especially with this COVID stuff. But I went with Mike, and Chief Turpak's got a lot of good stuff. It helped me study for the test, but again, he's not taking the test for me. I got to be
That's
able to
it.
drop the information on test day and the scenarios and everything else. And
Well, so to
luckily
talk
enough,
about that quick, you with the guys at work, I got a bunch of young guys on the crew, and they're studying. They want to take our tests. I'm guessing are going to be October-ish of 2021, so probably right about a year out now. Just going by what their last ones were. So I think it was October of 17 was the last exam. So, but I'm telling the guys, like, I set up a Google Drive folder for my crew, and here's the stuff. And I said, we can go over it. Every tour we'll pick something. I said, but I'm not going to teach it to you. So you got to do the reading. You got to do the work, because I can't, just what you said, I can't be there to take the test for you. So if you're uncomfortable with public speaking, now's the time to get comfortable with it. If you're uncomfortable with
or
whatever,
just your knowledge, you have to have that
well, for
knowledge.
sure. Yes,
Look at the books. We've got,
you
I
can't
think
fake
there
the
was like
funk.
6 books that we had that were on our list, but they said they can pull from anything else as well. So
Mhm.
the world is your oyster, unfortunately, with the amount of books or information that you have to have in order to make that situation or scenario that you're given. At least we had a written test based on the books, and then we had 3 scenario based questions that we had to
Right.
answer. So, and you know what, it took the time, but again, it's a whole process. You're no matter whether when they call for the test and you start studying, I call it, I think it's too late. You need to be in the books. The fire service is always changing, but you always got to be in the books. You got to be a student of the craft and always
100%.
learning. And whether you're reading firehouse, fire engineering, fire rescue, or just grabbing, I guess one of the best books out there, and I'm going to say it's the Fire Officer's Handbook of Strategy and Tactics. Now they're at the 5th edition, probably the 6th edition's coming out within a year or two, I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact.
Well, and there's the thing, John. So how does the Bible, if you will, of firefighting constantly release new editions.
So the textbook answer on that is 30% change
No, I'm
or
just kidding,
addition.
but no, 100% right. That's exactly it.
It's whether
Everything's
they add.
changing.
So think about this. I'm going to throw this to you because I just got the answer in my head. What would be the new addition to the fire officer's handbook after 2020?
Operating in the pandemic.
How to,
Operating with civil unrest, a whole channel on civil unrest, or chapter on civil unrest. How to handle.
we're throwing Norman a bone right now. If he listens to us, he's writing those chapters now and adding to that sixth edition.
I'm writing it right now too. Hold on. No, but that's my point, is that it's ever changing, and if a person as respected and as humbled and as experienced as a guy as Chief Norman, even in retirement, he's still learning and still writing. Chief Turpak talks about, he shares, if you don't follow him, he's up to his social media game a lot.
Yes, he has.
He's telling his episode with the guys from National Fire Radio was amazing, and he said he's like, listen, I'm taking classes still. I've been out of the game for however long, 5-6 years, whatever he said, and he said, but I'm still taking classes, and I'm still learning, and I'm still improving myself. And that's what you have to be. You said it a few minutes ago, you have to be a student of the craft. And but anyways, going back to your thing, so you put in the work, you worked hard, man. I remember, like, you were hitting it hard, you and brother Dixon, who already congratulations to him, he did get the official nod, and
exactly,
and you guys were crushing it, and I remember the nerves.
We were doing
apprehension.
Yeah, 2 days a week, easily meeting up and doing scenarios, especially after the written test portion. We were trying to crush it out, and we had from pretty much January to May, and we talked about it. It was like during our heyday of actually recording and we were talking about this, of studying, and you got to study. If you're not doing it, just like anything else in the fire service, muscle memory is important. And if you're not studying and reading, you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you're an officer, you're doing your company a disservice.
Yeah. And the buy-in comes because the byproduct of it is, even if you don't test well, you're going to be better at your job. And that's just the way it is. You're going to better serve your department, better serve your community. And guess what? Be better prepared next time. Whether it was my own fault or not, it was what I had. When did I get promoted? So I had 16 years on when I became a lieutenant. And, I scored well on one list, they canceled the list. I scored well on the next list, the list died at me. I scored well on the next list, I got promoted. Then, luckily, I was a lieutenant for two and a half years or so, and then I made captain. But, there's no rush. Like, being a fireman's freaking awesome. And I tell that to guys all the time. I'm like, it's freaking awesome to be a fireman. And then in my department, it was freaking awesome to be a lieutenant. And then it gets less freaking awesome to be a captain. And then I don't know, obviously, about chief, but talking to the chiefs, most of them would say they'd rather be doing what I'm doing. They'd rather be,
to be back in the day, tillering the truck.
Yeah.
Just worrying about yourself and your crew. And now to this point where I'm out front of the building, not inside, seeing what's going on. Now you have to rely on your officers, and you got to listen to the communication that's going on the radio. And I'm responsible, and we have a small shift. So not my full shift right now is 19. So I've got 3. So on 6 pieces, that's 3 across the board. That's 4 engines and 2 ladders. And that's 18. And I'm 19. So I'm responsible for myself.
I have 8 in my firehouse.
Man. And again, so we're doing the limited staffing stuff.
127 is our daily staffing.
And we've talked about alarms. My initial alarm is getting only getting 3 and 1, unless it's a high rise, and we're getting 3 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all right, 3 and 2, that's 15 guys. And if it's actually a reported fire, I initially bang out the rest. But sometimes we're even browning down to 17 and close an engine company. So you're responsible for so much as you go up the line. And even I'm going to throw this to the volunteer side of it as well, because we do have some volunteer guys. As you step into that right front seat and you progress from that that line officer and then into the captain's position and then a chief's position, you take on much more responsibility. And it's not the 10% stuff as I'll talk as at the chief level. It's not the easy stuff is the 10%, which is the responses. It's that other 90% of the admin side that you got to deal with, whether it's the personalities and the paperwork and being responsible for that and getting that stuff, that information out. It's tough. You got to do that things that make you uncomfortable. And I had an uncomfortable issue just last workday. We were going to an alarm activation. I was fortunate enough. Sometimes we get a driver. So we had a driver that day. We pulled over on a one-way street. And as I'm getting out of the car, I always look in the mirror. As I step out, nothing was in the mirror. Must have been a blind spot. There was a car that was passing us on the right-hand side. I had a close call. I almost stepped into a car. And that I'll throw that as our tip. When you're exiting a fire apparatus, look, people do stupid stuff. I don't know whether it's the 2020 COVID, but people are driving like assholes lately.
Wow.
All over the place. It just seems to have gotten worse. And pardon my French, but it's just bad, dude. So luckily nobody got hurt, and minimal scrape. But you got to look. When you're stepping out of the apparatus, nobody cares. That big red truck is just a giant target, or whatever color truck that you have, or engine. It's just out there. People are in their own little worlds with what's going on. So just stay safe out there with that. And we're not ending the show, but just it's important to know, keep your head on a swivel, because you just never know what's going to go on. But again, there was an uncomfortable. I had to make a phone call. I had to call the deputy. I had to call PD. Make sure got the information. Do the reports. Had to write my dear chief letter explaining what occurred, documenting with pictures from my side as well as the police side. It's just not comfortable. No one wants to admit that they did anything wrong. And I just opened the door and just started to step out. Thank God nothing happened to me. It was a minor scrape.
I saw the picture. You were lucky.
Thank you.
But that's cool for you though. So pretty soon you're gonna.
Hopefully the promotion's gonna happen soon. We just got the certifications from our civil service. I'm actually got my letter to the mayor. We have to tell him that we're interested in the position, and we'll go from there, which would be good. So that's with promotions come movement, and hopefully we'll be getting more firefighters by hopefully the end of the year or the beginning of next year.
Are you having trouble getting people to come to work? Due to COVID and all that.
Truthfully, no. We're fortunate with that. The tour that I'm on right now, we had a couple good fires before I got on shift, and we had some guys that were hurt during those. So those guys are healing up. We just had a small COVID outbreak about 2 weeks ago. A couple guys on my shift were affected, but that's sort of taken care of now. But unfortunately, now we have people come to work. Our guys are dedicated, and you know what? I think there is a love of the job, and I'm going to brag about my new tour. These guys work hard, and they enjoy coming to work. Not everybody likes coming to work every day, but I think they see that what we're up against. We're at minimum staffing all the time. So it's great that these guys are coming to work, and hopefully when they hear this or don't hear this, they don't do the opposite.
Yeah, I was just curious because, our buddy Ryan, he just texted me that he's reassigned again today. It seems like he's having a heck of a time getting people to come to work, even on overtime.
West Virginia is having a heck of a issue. And I think Jersey and Connecticut were almost turning into red states because our numbers are going up, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's what the big hubbub was yesterday about New Jersey and Connecticut with New York. But it's nearly impossible to control those transportation amongst those,
hubs. They're the big city. Jersey, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that commute back and forth, and that's how things are working and keep the economy up and moving. You're going to have to go back and forth between New York and New York City and the metro area that I'm in, and even up into Connecticut. I'm still concerned. I'm going to brag a little bit. My daughter started the police academy in September. She's almost a month and a half into it. It's it's great, you know, but again, you got to watch out for yourself. You got to be smart and not put yourself in a potential situation. I don't think anybody's traveling, or if you're traveling, I know I got to make a notification to the chief of department about travel. And then if you go to a hot spot, what do you got to do 14 days. You got to quarantine yourself. I don't think anybody's got that time. I know I don't. So I was
No,
happy that
and
Pennsylvania was good. I was able to see you. You know, I made my
yeah,
notification, got the approval, and
well, PA was gonna. They were flirting with putting PA on the list, which was gonna affect my future here because we're supposed to go back and do something this weekend there, and but again, it's you just do your due diligence. And I'll be honest with you, we were in Pennsylvania last weekend, and I think they're stricter than we are here in terms of the COVID stuff. Nobody was allowed to eat at a bar. I went in to get. Weird thing about PA is you can't just go buy beer. Like in Buffalo, you can go buy beer anywhere, and it's not like gas stations and convenience stores. And so I'm looking for freaking to get a couple beers, and I'm like, where the heck can I get beer from? The guy I stopped at the liquor store. I'm like, maybe they sell it in here, and he goes, no, but I think if you go to Bar Louie down the road here, they'll sell you 6-packs. So I went in there and I walked in, and it was like, all but armed militia coming at, like, get where you going? What are you doing? Stay out here. I'm like, oh, okay. And but they were stricter. So here, as long as you're eating, you can sit at the bar. Like you can sit at the bar as long as you have food and drink. Well, the bars there, at least in where I was, they were all closed. You couldn't sit at the bar at all. And so I don't know how the numbers are going up because they seem to be stricter than us. But.
so I during this, I just got a text during our show and recording this. One of my daughter's soccer tournaments in North Carolina just got canceled. Go figure, thank God. But it was in December. How do you do that? How do you keep the normal? And unfortunately for my daughter, it's her senior year. So now this is the year that the colleges are looking for, look at them, for offering for scholarships or grants or whatever else. So this is just a crazy year. 2020 is definitely the end can't come soon enough, unfortunately.
Oh shit.
I'm hoping 21 is so much better.
So what else? What do you got coming up? We should probably start to
wrap it up. Right now, just we've been teaching a little bit and getting out to, and that's a whole nother thing. We're still teaching our through the law classes. We've instituted a whole cleaning schedule before the class, and then when we swap props, we go from one prop to the other. We take a 10-minute break. We decon everything. Guys are wearing masks because you can't social distance when you're doing through the lock. You got to be up close and personal with that stuff. So guys are wearing masks. We're wiping down everything and deconning and disinfecting. So it's a new right now. But yeah, we're teaching. We just unfortunately, we're moving with the flow. And you just got to figure out what's going to work. And some departments are real strict about how they're handling training, and other departments are a little bit more lax. But again, we got to come in at my company. I don't want to be the company that causes an outbreak. You know what I mean? Or hey, you had this many people at a class, and something happened. But you just never know. The spider webs are crazy. This contact tracing, like, who's with who and who and who. And, I don't want to see a lockdown again. That was crazy. But we need this COVID thing to go away. And hopefully, I think another discussion in the future would be about vaccines. Are you taking the shot? Or are you not taking the shot? Who's going to get the shot? So it's, that's definitely going to be an issue. And then how they get disseminated. And I think the states have to come up with their plans on who's going to get it first. And then, but if you're offered it, are you going to take it? I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything else. And I still got to get my flu shot and stuff like that. But it's a question like, hey, how safe is it? Or do we have to get a second shot? That I think Minerva is that one company that's got 2 shots, and there's a couple of, it's just crazy. I sort of follow this a little bit more, maybe because I had it. I just actually went and got my antibodies my blood drawn for antibody tests. I want to see if I still have antibodies. So I had them in July. I want to see if I have them again, because who knows if they're going to diminish or go away.
Yeah, right. And that's
nobody knows with this. And unfortunately, you don't know who to believe.
No,
that's the other part, right?
That's the worst part about it. That's the worst part about it.
Can't make it political.
No.
So, what do you got going on, Sean? What's next for you? Besides this weekend, and you guys are going back to PA, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it out there. I got some things coming up at the house, and so I'd love to get out there again.
I think this one is going to be a lot busier because there's going to be actual students.
Good.
So probably better anyways. So I got that coming up. Super cool thing that I was honored to be chosen for is Firehouse Expo Direct.
That's right. December.
Get on. It's in December 8th and 9th. If you get on, basically what it is because they couldn't do Firehouse Expo, they decided to go virtual like everybody's doing. So there's a bunch of us that are doing short 1-hour sessions. Basically, what do you call it? Like snippets, teasers for our larger programs. So Firehouse Expo Direct, I think it's like $25 now to get on, but you get 2 days worth of learning. So starts December 8th at 10 a.m. and it's Jeff Bandeman, who is brilliant guy. He is going up first, and then Jonathan Hall from St. Paul, Minnesota. Dave Baugh, who is from I'm sorry if I said his name incorrectly, but he's talking. Or I'm sorry, John Hall from St. Paul is talking about engine company operations and apartment fires. Dave Baugh here is talking about lessons learned from the COVID. Jake Hoffman, who's I know you could give that class, right, John?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Jake Hoffman from Toledo, who is a brilliant dude, great guy. He is going to be talking about the Fast Five essentials. That's he's the man. Like I sat on that, we got to have dinner with him in Vegas, and I sat on that panel with him, and smart guy. Followed by our boy Steve P, Chief Presbrowski. And he is doing 5 commandments of a great fire officer in 2021, and that's probably, knowing him is going to be an amazing program. And then they're doing.
I'll tell you right now, Chief P does great stuff for promotions as well.
Oh, dude,
he's definitely a West Coast guy. Oh
yeah,
my God, phenomenal!
And it's all free. I mean, he's obviously has the ability, but if you don't check out his Code 3 training and his YouTube channel, he's releasing like weekly little webinars on different aspects of promotional prep. I love it.
Chief's crushing it. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's really, I'm proud to call him a friend. So
most definitely.
Then following by that is a virtual roundtable. They haven't figured out who's going to be doing it yet. Wednesday is same thing, another roundtable first in the morning, and some clown out of Buffalo. So what I did, talk a little bit about. So we're going to move into the new thing is culture. So we're going to talk. The program I'm working on is developing today's truck company culture. So we're going to go over obviously about truck company operations and the tools and equipment to accomplish them, but we're going to also talk about how to make sure that truck work stays important in your department's training and part, because everybody, we're not naive, as much as I hate to say it. We know that water puts out fires. I get it, but truck company culture is huge, and it helps departments, it helps members. It's all about pride. It's all about ownership. So working on it. It's a spin-off of my top tips for truck work class, but
I think that's great, Sean, because you know what? Everybody's got an engine, but you got to do truck work.
Yeah,
got to do truck work at fire. Somebody's got to do search, ventilation, utility control, and all that other stuff that you talk on your Lover's U portion of your
and that's
truck
what it's
tips.
going to be. It's going to be the basics, but also kind of how to form that. For a long time, just to give you a little preview, the truck guys will gravitate to the truck in Buffalo because A, there's less of them, so they go to more fires. B, they didn't go to EMS calls. We don't go to EMS calls, but now they quickly got there and realized, whoa, this is a lot more than just break windows and
cut a hole in the roof.
Cut a hole in the roof. There's a lot to it. So hopefully I'll cover some of that.
Good.
After me is our boy Mike Daly from Monroe Township, New Jersey there, and he's talking about straightforward solutions for problematic extrications. Brilliant mind when it comes
He's
to patient
phenomenal at that.
removal. Yeah.
Whew.
So
He's got some great stuff.
Yeah, he's up on the 9th at 12:30, and then Chief Isaacson will wrap up the instructional part with commanding from the sidelines. Chief Isaacson, I'm sure you're all familiar with him from Escambia County. And then the closing keynote is our boy, Jason Patton, Fire Department Chronicles, and his title of his speech is 2020, wow, just wow. So really cool thing. I'm proud that, happy to have been invited to do this. So it's going to be recorded, pre-recorded, but what they're going to do is we're going to be there live. Each of the speakers is going to be there live during there so that there's no bandwidth issues. You know, every virtual session you go on, you're fighting bandwidth. Well, we're going to record it separately. So what they're going to play a live recording of my show, but I will be there in the chat, and it's actually easier because it allows me to be free, not trying to present at the same time. So that's going to be really interesting. FirehouseExpo.com is the info's on there, the lineups on there, and then in November 20th to 21st, I will be back in Bergenfield, New Jersey, taking it to the streets with Eckert.
I'll be there for that
weekend of live fire. Really looking forward to that one, and we're going to do that again in December. But we'll talk about that before. I promise it'll be less than won't be 6 months again before you hear from us. So
yeah,
that's it.
We're definitely going to try to do the month on, month off thing. But it's great to be back sitting with you and talking, Sean. I miss this. It's we said it before. It's cathartic, talking fire stuff and just passing information along, and even just bullshitting. But this year's been a rough year, and we're up to already episode 34, which we're recording and finishing up right now. So the quick tip of the day is check the mirrors, check your windows as you're getting out of the apparatus. You don't want to become part of the incident. So hopefully everybody stay safe, stay healthy. What's that?
Good advice.
Exactly. You don't want to add to that complexity of the incident.
No.
Stay healthy, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, do what you got to do. Keep your family and your crew healthy and safe. Sean, anything else?
No, that's all. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.